we have two more speakers. I really have to kindly ask you to be as brief as possible, especially Mr. LAZOVSKI, representative, who will tell us something about the best practices on Roma integration in the Western Balkans project developments.
Basically, the best practices for Roma integration is a regional project for the Western Balkans. Its aim is to contribute to the integration of the Roma in the region by reflecting the commitments that the states have made in the prospect of them becoming EU member states and also as OSCE participating states. The project is funded by the European Union. It's also supported by the OSCE participating states, and of course it's implemented by the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights. My project has 5 main components. I won't explain them all, I'll just name them very quickly. Component number 1 is participation in political and public life and decision making. Then component 2 is access to legal aid. Number 3 is legalization of housing and settlements, combating discrimination and promoting visibility for Roma communities, and finally regional cooperation. What's very important for us is that the EU Enlargement Directorate General held a number of high-level conferences on Roma involving all governments in the region that have generated a series of conclusions and comments. The project is taking these conclusions very seriously and is working with governments from the region to find innovative solutions in their implementation so that the Roma are truly the ones who will benefit from the process. We're working with civil society organizations and especially Roma NGOs in advocating for reforms, proposing more inclusive solutions and raising awareness about the status of the Roma. I'll just mention a couple of activities that were implemented recently. The first one was the mapping of Roma settlements and municipalities. The ODIHR conducted a community mapping of some 60 municipalities in the region of the Western Balkans. The mapping identified needs, gaps, resources for effective municipal Roma initiative. Several good practice examples were identified in the process. I'll just mention a couple of them. For example, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, several municipalities such as Jajce, Kakanj, Mostar applied for funding for housing development and reconstruction projects in 2009 and 2010. These projects were used to introduce new infrastructure to Roma settlements. Međimurje County in Croatia used pre-accession EU funds to rebuild the infrastructural network in 6 largest Roma settlements, but we'll see more of that later. In Kragujevac, many Roma who did not have a permanent address and thus could not get personal documents were registered at the address of the municipal Roma coordinator or at the address of the Center for Social Work. Another activity was the regional thematic roundtable on housing that some of you participated a couple of weeks ago here in Zagreb. It gathered stakeholders that are involved in legalization issues, legalization of Roma settlements or dwellings, but also experts involved in social housing, together with municipal representatives, and tried to offer some solutions to the problems faced in our countries in these areas. What's next? We're currently working on a small grants program. So basically, municipalities from the countries of the Western Balkans will be able to apply for these small grants to tackle infrastructure problems for Roma settlements or Roma housing. In most of the countries of the Western Balkans, there's project officers such as myself based there. If you're coming from a municipality with a significant portion of Roma community, talk to your project officer on how you can apply for this funding so that the Roma can benefit. The deadline for Macedonia, Albania is October 12th. Because of the elections in the other countries, we're going to do this in the spring of next year, so that there are local elections and we don't want to get involved into that. Policy practice gap analysis are currently going on. We have identified young Roma academics in all the countries in the region, and we're sponsoring them to perform an analysis of policy practice gaps on an area that they think is very important for them and for their communities. Hopefully this will bolster their academic careers, and hopefully it will help, the findings will help to improve the life of Roma in their communities. A regional report on anti-discrimination and participation is currently going on. We initiated the production of this report to highlight good practices such as the establishment of Roma coordinators, development and budgeting of local action plans, creating outreach mechanisms, etc. It's expected this report will be finalized in March next year. A regional housing study is also being implemented at the moment, and we're expecting that to finalize in spring 2013. It's interesting that the experts that we've hired for this housing study will visit all jurisdictions, all countries, and we will use this opportunity that the relevant ministries that work on housing issues can benefit from the visit of these experts and use them to implement any of the activities that currently facing. Was that fast enough, or I have a couple of more? Okay, that's enough. Thank you very much. I'm open for questions.